Last year, China went from being the biggest Bitcoin mining country in the world to going completely dark. Chinese officials set off what became known as the Great Mining Migration when they issued a statement vowing to crack down on Bitcoin mining and trading. Since then, the Bitcoin mining industry has relocated, expanded, and in some places, seized on innovative ways to harness and use energy. Before we jump into how the industry has evolved, let's quickly talk about Bitcoin mining. It isn't just about making money. Machines around the world work to guess a complex series of numbers in order to validate a block of Bitcoin transactions. The miner whose computer cracks the code first wins some Bitcoin. Those blocks of transactions are recorded on the blockchain ledger, a giant public record of all Bitcoin transactions forever and ever. By design, this process occurs roughly every 10 minutes, and it helps prevent fraudulent activity. Okay, so it might be hard to wrap your head around, but what you need to know is that the machines help secure and maintain the Bitcoin network. And as a reward, the owners of those machines can make a lot of money. So why did Beijing ban mining? All those machines need electricity, ideally cheap electricity to maximize profits. And China has a lot of that, especially from coal. Before last year's ban, China had attracted so many miners that the country accounted for nearly half of all the computing power dedicated to Bitcoin mining. That's known in the crypto world as the hash rate. All of that energy use ran counter to China's climate goals. Plus, Bitcoin was seen as a threat to China's own digital currency and its capital controls. So Beijing cracked down and miners packed up. In late June, footage from crypto mining farms in China started popping up on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, showing the machines being dismantled and moved.
It was actually an amazing year to be a Bitcoin miner in the US because basically half of your competition went away with the swipe of a pen.
This is Nick Hansen, the CEO of Luxor Technologies, a Bitcoin mining services company. And that thing sitting next to him? That's a Bitcoin mining machine.
We were getting calls from people that had machines on boats on the way to the US. They were basically calling up and saying, I need somewhere to plug these in.
Miners ultimately want to go somewhere with access to cheap energy and a predictable regulatory environment. So Texas and other US states quickly became hotspots. The US, which was already adding capacity before China's ban, took the mining crown and ran with it, accounting for more than a third of the global hash rate. Kazakhstan and Russia also gained mining market share. So what has this meant for the Bitcoin network? Some believe there was an interesting security ripple. While China's move initially rattled the crypto community and tanked the price of Bitcoin, it addressed a concern that the Chinese government could potentially exert some control over the cryptocurrency because so much mining was being done within its borders. In the months following China's ban, El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as a national currency. The US approved the first Bitcoin futures-based ETF, and professional investors surged into cryptocurrencies at record rates. Just this month, Fort Worth, Texas became the first US city to mine Bitcoin with public resources. And Fidelity announced it would allow retirement savers to put Bitcoin in their 401ks. While these moves haven't explicitly been tied to Beijing's ban, some in the crypto community believe that because mining is no longer concentrated in China, some officials and investors have become more comfortable with Bitcoin. China's crackdown has also caused ripple effects for the energy industry. The Bitcoin Mining Council, a forum comprised of some of the biggest players in the mining industry, released data indicating that some notable things have happened since the first quarter of last year. After China's ban, there was a steep drop in energy usage that still hasn't climbed back to where it was, even though the hash rate, the global computing power dedicated to mining, has reached new highs. The process of mining Bitcoin has become more efficient, more hashes for less energy. And the percentage of electricity coming from sustainable sources to do that mining has jumped to 58%. In the US, where environmental standards are higher and investors care about reducing carbon emissions, companies have invested in a wide range of power projects. Miners are partnering with nuclear power plants that have excess carbon-free energy. They're ramping up businesses that harness the energy from flare gas, and they're repurposing old fossil fuel factories to power their machines with clean energy. Some proponents of Bitcoin even argue that the mining industry is incentivizing the growth of renewable energy infrastructure. If the wind is blowing and the sun is shining, but people don't immediately need all of that energy that's being produced, that energy doesn't get saved anywhere. It doesn't get banked or stored for another time. But miners are finding ways to use and monetize that excess energy.
Now you can actually use Bitcoin and use that energy that would have otherwise been either wasted or discarded and use it to make money and then reinvest into more solar power, more solar panels, more wind, etc.
Still, as the US mining industry grows, it continues to face backlash for contributing to climate change, pushing some companies to sign a crypto climate accord. Nick's company Luxor is one of those companies. In New York, a top mining state, there's now a political battle to restrict mining. And environmentalists have called on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to lower their energy use by abandoning the current mining process, known as the proof of work method. What do you say to people who think this proof of work method shouldn't exist and you should just get rid of all the computers?
Proof of work is really the only method that we've seen able to secure $1 trillion network. Anybody that's in Bitcoin right now thinks that Bitcoin is still very much in its infancy. I would hate to rock that boat, especially when it's so new.
Changing the mining process would require the approval of nearly all of the miners and developers involved in Bitcoin, something that's very unlikely to happen, at least anytime soon. While some investors and governments around the world remain skeptical of cryptocurrencies, residents of Turkey have embraced them as their local currency, the Turkish lira, hovers at record lows. Check out this video to learn more about what's going on in Turkey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.